Welcome to the Awakening podcast and also the Sovereign Man podcast. What I've done is I've started a new podcast just to all the stuff that I discuss with UCC, common law, sovereignty. So every episode that I've done with Peter is going to be put into it. And so then people can just stick with that, because I know that sometimes I've got some people talking about the jab or something like that on my other episodes that people mightn't be into. Whereas this way we're keeping it to one thing. So you just go to roycollin.com and you'll find that show as well. So Peter, welcome back. And the good thing is as well, for those that are listening on either podcast, if you write a question, because you've even up to next year, January next year, we've got bookings every month, which is fantastic because we always have incredible conversations. So be sure to comment or ask us stuff, and I'll make sure that I bring it up on the thing. So yeah, as always, welcome, Peter.
Thank you very much for getting me back. I always enjoy a good chat. I go monthly catch up, see what's going on or what's not going on. Depends on your point of view.
Yeah, we're never short of things to talk about, the way the world is going.
Crazy, isn't it? Absolute insanity. Just in case we went, worn down enough, let's go and have some more hassle.
Yeah, and just because with my podcasts, I have like a dynamic ad. So Podbean put the dynamic ad. So I moved all my podcasts. I think I might have mentioned in the previous one that Spotify just kind of cheated. So I done the Awakening one the other day, but I recorded it, showing the numbers, and of course they just dropped. Like, it wasn't too bad. It was like 357 down to 68, but I had other ones when I moved them 297, and then they went to 6,000 on Spotify, and no numbers came across to Podbean, so I'm just starting from scratch. But it's like just weird that the way they do with it. But with the dynamic ads, I was basically earning, so they find the advertisers and just place them in the thing once I turn it on, and I can turn off certain things, like if you want to not have anything to do with gambling or different things, you can turn them off and just those that advertise. But some EU ruling, and I got a message there last week, sorry, your ads are no longer working. You're not allowed to do it no more because you're in the EU. The EU just made some ruling that can't happen. And I mean, obviously it's not just me. So now what it means is I have to go away and set up an American company just to kind of make this working, which I don't want to be doing. I don't want to have a separate company. I have an Estonian company. But it's amazing how they just decide, how can that be affecting anyone? Like, it's not. It's just, they just make stupid rules and they come along and just go along with it, which is, it's insane. Like,
Yeah. Again, people talk about the law and everything. Oh, well, it's just the law. You have to do that. There's no such thing. It's just like those loads of silly little rules that all these people sit down and make. I don't know, like to try and quantify why they've got a job, maybe. I should be doing something, sitting in here getting hundreds of thousands of euros a year. I best go make up some new rules and piss Roy off, something like that. You know, it is. It's just insanity, isn't it? Though it's literal, just a waste of space, just going round in circles. It's madness, man.
so I suppose let's start off with court cases, because there's always, you're probably your second home now at this stage. I know you're helping a lot of people. Any updates, any progress, any things people should be aware of?
Oh well, we've got loads of court cases going on all the time. I was just doing literally this morning paperwork for one that's gone into chancery. So they actually accepted the hearing in the King's Bench. That's what they call it now, KB. It all comes in with a reference number, KB. So we've got one in the King's Bench, and it's the usual type of argument. This is all to do with an alleged debt. We'll call it that. And the when they put these cases forward for, like, they got to put them, like, the debt collectors themselves go and file an N1 on you in England and Wales, right? Oh yeah, it's well across the UK, right? They'll file an M1 in court, which they pay, was it £25 for, right? £25 that they pay to get an N1 filed in court. If we do it right now, it's over £300. Well, if we want to argue back, right? But so they go and do these, and they all get sent down to Northampton. This is what people have got to really get their head around. It's not a court, it's just going to an office. And if you don't reply, right? And I know, like, everyone would say, well, it's not me, it's my straw man name, it's like legal fiction. But I mean, the straw man name is the one that's going to get the CCJ, and it's the one that's got the bank account, it's the one that's got the job, it's the one that's applying for a loan or a mortgage. Or if you've got to renew your mortgage, you've got a CCJ, you've got problems. So, it's like, if you want to ignore it and go down that route, fine. But I mean, it's going to cause you issues where you have to deal with it. So, this guy did actually reply, did the defense, but they wouldn't listen. Which is just one of those things that when you're going into the lower courts, they use what's called CPR 27, the Court Procedure Rules, number 27, which allows judges discretion for one thing, so they can completely ignore, and they do completely ignore, case law and even statute, and they've got no ability to ignore statute, no matter where they are, but they do. But also there's no disclosure under the CPR 27 or small claims track. There's different tracks that they actually have, small claims track being the lower one, and they think it should be fine just to have a half-hour hearing, get rid of you, and then the next one, then the next one, then the next hearing. So they don't want any legal arguments in there where you sort of say, well, actually, no, that's not correct because of case law and the statute. They don't want to know that. Even though the law is the law, it's like, well, yeah, it is the law, but this is small claims track, so we're not talking about that. Not today. It's like ridiculous. So they don't have to prove anything. They don't actually have to show any documentation. So if you imagine walking into, knocking on someone's door, I'm going to come and knock on your door. I say, right, you owe me 10 grand. You say, well, why? Prove it.
I come up with a
No.
baseball bat.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's your proof. I'm going to put your windows in. It's you don't pay me. But and this is very similar because it's under small claims track CPR 27. The rules, not the law, the rules. They don't have to give you any proof. It's just this. Well, no, we told him. Oh, well, he told you. The judge is going, well, no, you've got a notice saying you owe it, so you must owe it. Oh, okay. So that's what happened. And the guy got a CCJ. So instead of appealing, he did a case, filed a new case, but in the High Court, in the business and property section, which is where it should be for what's called a chosen action, which he's wanting injunctions against them and also declaratory relief. So they are only allowed to happen in the business and property court, the higher court, not in small claims track or CPR 27, not allowed. It's just, again, the rules, the big white book as it is, green book, that one. So, and it's been filed there, and they've actually now put in a defense. So I'm just telling people this. I mean, working on it, I'm thinking I have to tell people this because it's so interesting. There's so many little arguments and nuances, so what the debt collectors now said, oh, this is an abusive process. This has already been decided, this case. But it hasn't, because he's filing in, or I've showed him the book. So look at this book. What does it say? And he's like, well, it says there that I'm allowed to argue that they have no standing and shouldn't have done that in the first place. So we're not arguing about their argument, right? I know this might be a bit complicated, but right, they've put it in saying you owe a debt. And the judge went, yes, you must do. Well, there's no proof. Yeah, but you probably do anyway. So I'm giving them the CCJ. It's only allowed to argue about was there or was there not a debt. That is their legal argument. Now, he's put forward the legal argument that they had no legal standing. So what they're trying to do is and I know this, it literally is the words you use. If you use the wrong words, you've lost altogether. So they've now applied for what's called a strikeout, saying it's an abusive process because he's just trying to relitigate something we've already decided. And, if it was true, then that would be correct. But he's not. He's the wording, right, that he's put down, like I showed him in the green book. They've got no legal standing to sue in their own name because they haven't proven that they are the holder of the chosen action, or they are the the proprietor, the owner, we'll call it, of the chosen action. A chosen action is a legal term, and it means that basically they own the debt. Let's put it in layman's terms, all right? So it's a bit more complicated than that, but it comes under the Law of Property Act. So for them to have the chosen action, they have to have what they call an assignment to them. It's been assigned to you, just like a duty would be assigned to you. It's your duty to go and clean the toilets, right? But it's like it's the same thing. So it's going to be assigned to them, but it has to be done legally. So it has to be absolute, as in it's not just part of the debt. It's not just an equitable one. They must have the legal ownership of it. It also must be in writing, and it also must be under the hand of the assignor. This is a real big problem for them. That means it needs to be signed by the original creditor that is giving them or selling them, assigning them that chosen action or that debt. That never happens because they buy, like a huge big block of data, and that's all they do. And they use a master agreement. That master agreement can be like 10, 15 years old. And it was signed 10, 15 years ago saying, oh, this is an assignment of all of these. And the judges will accept that. So don't think that they don't, because if you're going into that small claims track, CPR 27, they'll accept, written on the back of a napkin from a restaurant. Oh, yeah, that'll do. They don't have to actually give any proof of it whatsoever. So what he is trying to do, the guy, he's moving it into what they call the Business and Property Court, which is the Chancery Division, which is a high court. So under there, it's different rules. CPR 27 doesn't apply. So he can then ask for specific documentation to prove the actual case. So they have to now prove, and the burden of proof is upon them. And they always try to reverse it. This is the thing. Under under the law, and even Law of Property Act, or all of it, whoever makes a claim has the burden of proof. I mean, that's normal. Everybody, I think that's in every country, right? If you're making a claim, then you have to prove your claim. Apart from if it's a debt, right, and it's CPR 27, doesn't matter. But when it moves into high court, then, because they definitely have the burden of proof. Now, in their statements that they've put in for this specific case, they're asking for it to be thrown out because it's an abusive process. And they're saying that we have definitely been assigned this debt, they call it a debt in their statement, on a specific date. And it's got the specific date written down, something 2023, I think. Which is brilliant for the guy filing against them, if you know what you're looking for, because they've just admitted that to a high court, that they have a chosen action, or they've just let's say the word admitted, they declared that they have a chosen action. They have an assignment. So under the high court, they must now prove it. So now they have to show the documentation that's been signed under the hand of the assigner for that specific chosen action. So in reality, hopefully I haven't just confused too many people, that they've kind of shot themselves in the foot in this case. So that's made it sort of like I'm quite excited to see what will happen, and hopefully that the judge will just sit there as an equitable judge in a chancery court and go, hang on a second, this is the law. You have to be proving that you've got this assignment under the hand of a signer, and you've just said you've got it. So show us it. That is what is going to be happening, and I think it's in a week or two, actually. So it's this has been going on for nearly 2 years now. This debt case, this specific one for the guy, the member that we've got, and so he's learning a lot as he's going through it, and we're showing him the rules, the books, the big green books, and how the rules work, and what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, and what you can say and can't say. So yeah, I mean, this is quite a big case. I was in the court myself on Monday, all day down in Leeds. I travelled down there for another member, talking about some mortgage stuff, and now we've got to go back. Where is he going back to? Stoke. Same case, just going different places. So it's quite busy with the court stuff. But that one that I'm dealing with like today with the member and showing him the rules, we don't give legal advice. We just say, look, there's the rule book. Look what it says. And then they read it and they go, oh, do you know what? We can actually do something. As well, there you are. Now start reading the rules. Then you apply those rules to your case. And even on this is what people don't get. On Monday, the judge, right? I was sitting in the court just as a spectator, right? I was in the public gallery. Although it's not much bigger than this room here, but it's still the class it as a public gallery. It's the seat behind the solicitors. And as soon as the judge he goes, okay then, and he opens up his book and he flips through the book and then reads the rules. Once he's checked that the rules are there, then he tells them the rules he's going to use and makes his decision. It's nothing to do with and these are just CPR, court procedure rules, that they've all sat and decided over however many years, and the books are big enough to make me look 7'2", right? They're huge books. You stand on top of them. But he flicks through it, reads, right, and he got to the rule and then tells them the rule. All of it is just once they're going to make a decision, they look at the book, find the rule that fits it, and then they say it. It's just and that's the issue that we have. Not enough people are reading the rules, and we need to get more aligned with how to actually read the rules and use them rather than worrying about like the overall size of the law, right? And the law that okay, the law is one thing. The Law of Property Act says we must have a deed of assignment, and it must be, or an instrument, I should say. It doesn't have to be a deed because they are two separate, but it must be assigned, and it must be under the hand of the assignor, which means it needs the signature, right? But there's so many rules that go before that. Just, when you get into the court procedure itself, it's completely different. And they'll find another rule that say, no, shut up, I don't care. So you've got to literally, yeah, all right, you can know the actual law part, right? If you want to call it law, statute, then, but then get into the procedural rules that the courts use in them huge big books and start studying them, because that's going to win or lose your cases for you, so complicated.
No, definitely. And like when they made a claim on a certain date, because the way that there's such trickery. So what I had one big case years ago in Poland, and they had a so-called document, and I said, that's a colored scan. And it wasn't my solicitor, it was me that had done it. And another thing, they actually forged my signature with a date, and I put a line through my zeros, and it didn't. And I was able to open the book in front of the judge, go, no, that's mine, definitely. That's not. And I think that made a change. So like they can even go away and trickery, or they can say, oh, look, there it is, which they just create. And I don't know, can you actually, I mean, I don't think for cases like that, you can get, a handwriting expert or something that states, oh, no, this is actually new. It wasn't done in 23 like they're claiming. But you just have to watch for it, because they're constantly just lying. You can't, it's not as if they're coming along telling the truth. Everything they do is trickery, and you just have to protect yourself.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all of the statements and everything that they put out, and the thing is that you've got a lot of I don't know what you would call them. Let's just say the infiltrators, that we're trying to find out how to actually help people. So we're saying, look, if you've got problems with this, debts and whatever it is, for instance, because this is the case I'm talking about, we're going to try and help you, as in provide you with the education. So here's the rule books, here's what we do, and here's, and then you get the solicitors from the other side that they use massive obfuscation, muddy the waters, put out certain words and sentences, and what I don't know if it's like people who just want to cause trouble, or maybe it's just even the work for the debt collectors and and the solicitors, and so they go into all these forums and they spread these different rumors and things like that. and state, oh no, it doesn't matter. Even if you have got proof that they've got no deed of assignment or no instrument of assignment, and that it doesn't matter. And then there's a new, well, it's not new, it's a case law, Promontoria Oak Limited, and they always talk about Chapter 56. And I've done a few videos on this because this is it's Promontoria Oak Limited versus or Emmanuel, right? And they were discussing through this case, and what the debt collectors and the solicitors have done is they've tried to like balloon it up to be a massively important case law, which it's not. Again, that completely devalues, right, one of the biggest case laws that we can use, which is the Van Lynn versus Pelias construction, where Lord Denning stated point blank that the debtor, who would be the defendant, is allowed to see the deed of assignment if he's challenging that there is one. Now, they did use the word deed, okay? We only know that there should be an instrument, be it a deed or not. A deed you only need a deed if the bank say, I'm going to do it via a deed. But as long as there's an instrument of assignment, it's the same type of thing. The deed is actually just done by the bank if that's the way they prefer it. But it means it's being passed. Legal title is being passed from one party to the other, be it via a deed or an instrument of assignment. Okay. But they did use the word specifically deed of assignment. So this Chapter 56 on that Promontoria case does not override that whatsoever, but they've built it up as if it does. They were talking about one specific sentence saying, well, no, you don't need to see every single contract concept in that whole assignment. You just need to see if your name's on it or not. That's what they said. But now they're trying to say it that the judge stated you don't need to see any assignment, right? And we even had one judge saying, what, that Van Lynn, but that was 1969. That's a bit old now. One of them even said, no, the Law of Property Act, but that was in 1925. That's really old. What does that mean? I mean, you've got like, the Bill of Rights from, like, was it 1860? You know what I mean? It's like, no, 1686. Well, I can't bloody remember it now. But that still stands in Parliament. Well, they're saying it's because a few hundred years old, that it's like too old now. But like 1925, it's only 100-year old. It's like it's just insane. Some of the sentences that they come out with, and if you haven't got the actual answer to give them back that shuts them down, right? Then I think they always just try and sort of like trick you into silence, or at least like, I don't know what to say now, and shut up and like look at them. And that's how they just confuse the situation, I think. And it's things like that Promontoria case in Chapter 56, or paragraph, I should say 56, and they come up with it, and I do know people have come back on the forums and said I didn't know what it was. So I didn't know how to answer that. And that's why I did a few videos on it to say, look, be prepared for when they come out, because here's the what is really true. Right? It's not that it overrides it whatsoever. It was actually saying, yes, you may well be able to see the instrument of assignment, but you're not going to see the whole document and what all of the actual contractual issues are. And we don't want to anyway. You just need to see if your specific chose in action has been assigned with your name. That's all you need. Don't worry about the rest of it. But it looks, when they put that across, they just make it bigger, muddy the waters, obfuscation, and it confuses you when you're going in to try and get yourself, assistance in these court cases when the debt collectors are trying to sue you. And the fact is, if they have not got an assignment that fits the Section 136 of the Law of Property Act, which means like, all of it, right? Which it has to be absolute, has to be in writing under the hand of the assigner, and only then do they give you a notice of assignment. It has to fit all of them, not just the last bit, the notice of assignment. They haven't got any legal standing to sue in their own name. This is the biggest attack you should be doing, or defense you should be doing, depends which side of the fence you're on. So if you're defending yourself, you use that against them, the legal standing. And if you're trying to actually take them to court for a reason, go for their legal standing, their right to sue in their own name. that. All right. So rather than like saying, no, there's no instrument or deed of assignment, whichever words you want to use it in a roundabout way to state that they haven't got the right to sue in their own name, or they have no legal standing to be pursuing you in their own name. And that is how to really do it. And rather than just using the actual instrument or deed of assignment, it's slightly bigger than that. And you have to use the right wording, which is stop them suing in their own name, which is exactly what we've just been preparing over the last few days. Well, he's been preparing it. I've just been showing him the rules so he can actually put it together himself, you know. But yeah, it's ready now, and hopefully we'll get that actually into the Chancery Court itself, Business and Property Court, Chancery Division, in the next month or so, and that should be really interesting, hopefully. And then we have some good news to talk about after that one.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I think we discussed previously. I mentioned that I had a lot of Polish companies. One of them was when I was building like 30 apartments, and we were late with a VAT bill, which wasn't huge. And they sent in the heavies. They were going to take our computers, and we just had to kind of move things around. But when we were due back 60 grand or something like that, they had up to 6 months to give it to us, and it was on the last date. And why I'm mentioning that is, at the start, you said they can do this for 25 bucks, I think, or something like that, sterling, but it's 300 quid for the individual. Has anybody actually taken a case to go, hey, because everything is like that. Everything is like, they do what they want and they have full control. Same with the post, like they use the franking, so they can send 1 million letters. But when you're sending registered post, especially when you're being battered left, right, and center, you're watching every penny. Has anybody regarding that 25 quid versus 300 quid ever done a case going, hey, how is this fair?
Not that I know of, but I mean, again, what would be the argument? Because the way that I've read it is that they are a direct debit. That's how they pay theirs. They've got like a direct debit, or it just goes out whenever. I mean, they fire literally thousands and thousands every day, So they have a discount because they're a big customer. That's basically it, that's the actual argument. So they are doing like thousands and thousands every single day. I was reading a report. I'm not sure if he's dead now. I'm trying to trace him. I can't find him anyway. This guy was doing great work for parking tickets, but council parking tickets. But it led on to doing the private parking tickets. So they were kind of joined in this one part, and he actually got wiped off millions in debt from people through this council parking tickets. It's always proven it was a scam, in other words. And the thing is, he was saying there was something like tickets, not court cases, tickets, like it was 1.5 million a month tickets that were getting issued. So just think of I mean, yeah, in reality, how much money is going in to these councils? Just
And yes, we've got holes that sometimes you wonder, are you driving inside the potholes, or are you on the road, because they're so bad.
Yeah, well, you need a 4x4 just to go on a motorway now, don't you? Like, it's like going off-roading, isn't it? I was like going down, like, say, down to the court in Leeds. It was like ridiculous, especially as you got closer to the city centre in Leeds. A couple of times I nearly disappeared completely down a hole. It's madness,
And if it's raining, it's like Titanic, I suppose. You'd be just kind of this or that. And what I'm seeing actually is people, and it's really kind of, it's saying a few to the councils, they're planting plants. They're filling it with earth and putting flowers in it. But what it's doing is it's telling other motorists, hey, there's a massive hole there, and people are able to go around it. But yeah, and when they see that, then they come up and they kind of resolve it. But it's orchestrated. This, you would see it in America. This is in Poland. Like some of the roads that I drive on there, like I feel like I'm having an epileptic fit. I'm just shaking the whole time, and you're going, how the fuck is this normal? Like, and yet, as you say, the amount of money that they're taking for everything, the property tax, all the fines, the whole lot, and they're like, oh, we don't have money for that. So what are they doing with it?
Yeah, well, someone's getting it. You know, someone's got a lovely big mansion somewhere on a beach. But it's everything. It's just like we know the whole system is just set up about like how to like strip the population. And you're only there as cattle. They see us as cattle. We're there, just to actually like feed their system. And they just come up with the more and more rules and their regulations, like to drain more money out of you no matter what. And don't you dare actually have a spare penny at the end of the month. We're not having that. That's not what we're here for. It's just crazy. I mean, look at all of it. It's just like, I mean, Les, I'm not in London or anywhere near it, and not even in cities, so I don't like have that issue or problem. But I do get a lot of like letters and emails and that, like, and it's a horrendous thing for people. It's that they're getting all of these charges and everything. It's supposedly for like to make the air cleaner. So really, to make the air cleaner, then you have to pay more money, right? So what is it that they do with that money that you pay to make the air cleaner? But it's not. It's you know what I mean. It's crazy. So like, well, we need to make the world greener. How do you make the world greener? Well, tax you more. You know. So like, well, we'll make sure is that like, we're going to go to carbon zero to make everything so like ridiculously expensive to live, right? So it's just that we actually got like told if someone went to do their weekly shopping and it had increased by about 70% just this week. Why was that? It's just that, but and the normal, they were like about looking around if they had done anything different. They were saying, well, no, it was just the same average thing. It was like, uh, they expected it, about, and it was like nearly £200. It's like they were just luckily that they had the money on them, they said. So it's, but it'll probably be blamed, oh, there's a war,
No,
you
that's what
know,
they're saying. Like they're saying, oh no, they have to go around Africa because they can't go through the the
Druids
gap
and
that they have, and then that's why all the guys. Like I actually even this week I was the same. I was like, strange. I saw a massive increase, and I was looking through it. I said, did they make a mistake? But it's like they just 20-30% on different things, and so
but
constantly people getting kicked in the goalies.
even if you think about that, which will be happening, and if then people have said it, they're not the only ones, right? You've noticed it there, right? The everything that they've got there, though, has probably been there for months as well. So there's no reason why that should be that price. If it was real, it's say, well, look, this is going to be the price until next month, and then we're going to have to use the new stock, which has actually had to go around like, like the bottom of Africa. So it's got like a lot more expense. You know what I mean? Like, so it's the fact of it, they know exactly what they're doing. It's the same with the oil that they've had, or whatever, the fuels in the petrol station. All of a sudden it's gone up overnight. What, did you not have that before though? Right? So
And
like
when
in that
things
before,
drop down, like so, if things are resolved, it doesn't drop down straight away. They just keep it
yeah.
and slowly. Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the taxes, I mean, I think in Ireland, it's like 80% the tax. So the price that they're actually getting it for. So like if you Jesus, I pity anyone now that has electric heating as well. Like the prices that are just everything now is going through the gas. Like I see it like the car that I have. There's the gas on the thing, and just looking at it went from I don't know 238 or something like that to 3, and then 320 in some places. And so if someone is commuting a lot, they're like they have to make sacrifices.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm eating once a day now, so that people are going to be doing that, and yeah, all they're doing is just laughing. They have all the oil, as you say, and they just every excuse. First of all, it was Iraq. Oh, so we're getting the oil from Iraq. Then it was Russia. Oh, we're getting the oil from we're Venezuela. Everywhere that there's a problem, it's always everywhere goes up. So it's like we only get the oil from where exactly the turmoil is.
Mm. Yeah. I know it's it's absolutely insanity, isn't it? You try. I don't I don't like watch television whatsoever. But you can't help but people send you sort of like, there's a news report and something that's like, oh my God, and I try to like block it all out and everything like that. But it's, accidentally you're just gonna hear some things, aren't you? You know what I mean? But it's like the whole thing is, I'm not saying that people aren't getting killed left, right, and center. They bloody are, and that's what they always do because they like doing it, don't they? It's like, but it's just about a pantomime to like completely ridicule mankind and to get rid of as many of us as they can all at one go, and then slowly everybody else. It's just absolute. If you like allow yourself to live in that environment, like mentally, I mean, to stay within it without like cutting and releasing and moving your mind away from it, it's like you just can't do it. You would end up, in the asylum, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Or cemetery.
So there's a lot of people, and over the years that I've kind of, natural law, as I say, like my own show, I mention them all because, everyone thinks, oh, it's UCC, it's Scotland. But what I've noticed is everyone gets overwhelmed. They try to go all in and then they do something wrong and they get frustrated or they just don't know what to do. And because I commented on one of your videos, I think it was last week, I love what you're doing. You're actually simplifying all the stuff because you're actually showing, uh, it's like a cartoon as such in pictures as you're explaining it, but it's not that it's like 3 hours. I don't know what it was, like 10 minutes or 50, but it's brilliant for understanding it because you simplify it that people go, oh, I get it. And so you might just kind of talk about, I'm not sure if you remember the one that I was talking about, it was this CJs, the CCJs, and there was different things that I've seen in a few videos, but obviously you're probably seeing the interaction and going to develop that further. But you might explain the few that you've done and your kind of reasoning behind it.
I think the ones that you're talking about is like the removal of the CCJs or the county court judgments. Yeah, and I've done it like in a cartoon version, if you like, but like with the voiceover, like talking it through as it's going through the images, and the images just like make people kind of like a cartoon image to see, an empty court, for instance, and saying the CCJ that you get has never been to a court. There's no hearing. So it's just like showing a little bit of an easy way to try and explain it visually with the cartoon images, not Dennis the Menace cartoon types, but this like simplified cartoon image with a voiceover, and it's not like I know we talk for about an hour and a half, but like, it is on various different subjects and everything like that. But when you're talking about like say one specific subject like removal or getting a CCJ, and this is all to do with that private parking as well. That specific video, or there's probably 2 or 3 videos, but they're all about 10, 15 minutes. So they're not long. So you can literally sit and watch and think, right, okay, yeah, I've got that. Or it's like that, and that makes a bit of sense. That does, and all of it is around the theme. What we do in the private group, we actually have a process that people can use. Now this is the thing, right? People talk about like, well, that's not me, that's my legal name, that's my straw name, but that's the one that you have to use in commerce. There is two of you, no matter what anybody says. The straw man is not a theory, it's a thing. And legal fiction that you have on your bank account, that you have on your driving license, that you have on your passport, that is your legal fiction. It may not be you, the living, it doesn't bleed or anything, but you have to use it as a tool. And that is the thing that they attack in commerce. It is in commerce. So you're going to get a CCJ. It's going to harm your commercial standing, right? It might not harm you as the living being. You can go and stand in the forest and like hug a tree. Yeah, of course, all of that, which I do. But when it comes to a lot of people have got a mortgage. A lot of people even renting property. If you get a CCJ, you're going to have problems with it. So we're showing you how to actually stop it if you can catch it in time, or if you haven't and it's went to that Northampton business office I was talking about, they've issued that CCJ against you, even though it's not a court, they're giving you a court order. But anyway, and we've actually removed them just by doing a set of notices. They're not affidavits and gonna 3,000 page long. It's one little piece of paper, and you're writing a notice saying, I wasn't the driver of this vehicle, therefore this can't stand under, right, your act that you're using. So, we're going to request to remove it. And if you word it correctly, use the correct legislation, show them their failings. And if they're going to end up in court, they're the one that's going to suffer. So they remove it. Now, there is another way of doing it, and it's filing a court process paper called an N244. Now, if you can do that, and then and it has to remove the CCJ if it fits this criteria, but you have to pay £313 to file the N244, which like not everyone's got, and it's not about like, see, people are saying, well, why would I pay 313 to remove the CCJ when the actual court order itself was whatever it would be at the time? I don't know, it was like 200 and odd pounds, so it was less than 313. It's not about the money. Unfortunately, if they're in a position where they need to get like, a new rental or a new mortgage, remortgage, if they've got a CCJ, it isn't happening. You're not going to get your mortgage. You're not going to get your new rental place. You're not going to be able to move if you wanted a different apartment, house, or whatever, and you want to rent it. It's not happening because you've got a CCJ. We've got friends that run rental, like estate agents, and if you have a CCJ, they won't even sign you onto their books.
So they've got a logging system that will, once they put in your details, it comes up that you've got the CCJ, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And can that be like with the GDPR? Is there any way of kind of going, hey, you're giving out my data to everybody? That's kind of personal information. Nah, there's not. Is there any way of
the thing is, though, you're fighting on what they call like legitimate interest. They're not always going to argue, but we have legitimate interest to use your data because, what happens in this specific case we're talking about, they're going to say that you did a contravention. They love that word, contravention of the parking rules. So you need to pay whatever, £100. And then you haven't replied. So they've increased it to 170. You haven't replied. So they've sent it to the business center, which they call the court. And the next thing, it's like, 290 odd quid, right? With all the charges and everything else they put onto it. But the saying is because you contravened it, then you didn't respond, which unfortunately is the vast majority. And there's like thousands upon thousands of them. So you get all these CCJs that no one ever, a lot of people don't even know they've got it until they go and have a look at their credit file, or they apply for a credit card, or they want to buy a car, right, on finance, or they want to remortgage or whatever it is, or renew the mortgage, and that's when they find out. In a lot of cases, I'm not saying it's done on purpose, but a lot of these notices that get sent out for the CCJs never seem to find the people who they're meant for. So if you don't get the letter, right, you don't respond, with the CCJ, and then you didn't even know about it, and then you don't even get told about it when you're supposed to. And this is how you can actually fight the process if you do the correct notices in the correct time, using the correct rules. And it's just you. So you find out the rules and you use their rules against them. The ones they're using to give you the CCJ, you can use in reverse to actually have it removed. And 99% of the time, they will straight away agree with you and remove it. They won't argue. As long as you haven't done anything crazy, like, in the meantime, if it's a straightforward, look, you've done the CCJ, blah, 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 this is the rule, this is the rule. Will you remove it? And then we're not going to have to file into court, and you're not going to have any worries about a hearing. And generally, right, they remove it. And we've had plenty of them removing the CCJ, and any tickets that were tied to it get squashed. So there's no charges involved. They move on, and one of the members was again arguing in court about a parking ticket. And he won his case, threw the case out, against the parking. He was defending himself. So the parking company lost the case, and he was just chatting, like as you do, in the waiting room after the hearing, chatting to the solicitor. And he says, well, what are you doing like, with these things? You're losing these cases. He went, yeah, but we'll win most of them. And most people never ever turn up anyway. It's just a numbers game. So they're making a massive profit. That's the whole game. It's just numbers. So if you use the right rules to stand up for yourself, if they do have to take you to court and you defend it correctly, they're going to lose. Or if you're filing it to remove the CCJ, if you've had one put in by default, as that's what it was called, a default CCJ. I think that was the video you're talking about. Then they remove them and they don't argue. They just like let it slide. As in, like, they're not going to get in any hassle with having to go to court because it costs them money, and it's all just about profit. You know, they have to pay a solicitor, they have to have court time and blah blah blah. You know, so if they can just like let it go, you know, because they know the 1,000 other people on the same day as you are not going to argue and they're going to make their money. You know, and he said it, the solicitor, it's just numbers. That's all it is, numbers game. They're winning the numbers game.
With the letters that they're sending out, are they registered? Because, like, with everything that I've done over the years, even in Poland, you know, because I fight in the city the whole time, if they send out 2 letters that you don't get, they class that you have it. I mean, how stupid is that? And there's been plenty of times I go, hey, that never did. I never got the first one. You know, so like the postman doesn't give the receipt saying, hey, we tried to deliver a letter. And so there's a load of trickery with that anyway. And I mean, sure, they're in cahoots with the post office. They're all working on the same team. With this, do they register post, and like, as you know, as happens, someone moves, so then they go, yeah, it's gone out, and they mightn't even know that it's happening till a few years later. So based on no signature, you still have a case, even if it's like 3 years down the line, because you might be renting and everything's good, and then you decide to move, or you might be, you know, have a house and remortgage it or something. You might know because they don't, if you weren't informed. So is there any time frame? Because there's a lot of stupid shit that goes against us as well, where, oh, this is only valid for 3 years, this is only valid for so many years. Is there any limit on that if you were never aware of it?
Most definitely. And you know, like a lot of people like don't know that what the limits are. I mean, that specific video you're talking about, we're actually talking about only a default CCJ that's been issued. And like the whole point of is like showing the videos, like, and it's just a cartoon showing the empty courts, and there's no one there. It's not, you're not having a hearing. It's just literally a rubber stamp thing, and you've got this CCJ, never seen a court in its life. Um, but they have to do that within a 14-day period of you doing the breach of their contract, is what it is. It's just an invoice. It's not a fine. And it's still, even today, and people like argue, saying, yeah, you've got a fine, a parking fine. They're not. Them ones there are invoices from a private company for their breach of contract of their own mind that, you know, breached their contract. Um, and it's so weak, and there's so many holes in their case, that if you know what those are and what the rules are that apply to it, you know, you can use it. And one of them is the time limits. That the and But the problem is that most people like panic as well when they find out they've got one. So rather than trying to question it and challenge it, they want to pay it to get rid of it, right? Because they get panicky and they think, oh, I'm going to court. Oh, it's good. And they've seen these, you know, programs on television, how horrendous it is being in court. I'm not saying it's nice, by the way, but you know, it's not. You're not a criminal. You're not getting dragged in and going to get put in handcuffs or anything, like, you know. But they have these images and they have this panic, and everybody walking around in, like, you know, black dresses with funny wigs on, and it's this is the image that's portrayed, and it makes it extremely stressful. So they don't want to go. So they avoid it, like, as any way that they can, and they pay it, and that's all it is. It's a money machine. But yeah, you're right. There's limits, and they have to do certain things in a certain period of time. Like for instance, I said there, when you do your contravention, then you got 14 days to actually receive the actual notice about it. But you know, a lot of people, like even on the CCJ part of it, they get the default, they have moved. And it's very, very common. Be they go missing or they don't initially get posted or whatever it is, but it's extremely common. And they all end up, a lot of people get these CCJs they didn't know anything about. They've never seen any notices, and they don't know until, like, you know, you just said, oh, going to move house, go into a new rental, and they go, oh, you can't. You got a CCJ, can't go in there. And it's not even a guy that's like, you know, whoever, it's just like if you've got the house and you're renting it out, but you're using an agent, right? You've got somebody who's got 10 properties. They can't, you know, it's a lot of work to, you know, go and do that, as well as you've probably got other businesses as well. So, You know, I used to be a landlord. I had properties. I was down in Leeds the other day, and I was saying, "Oh, I used to have properties just over there. You know, big block of apartments, and we had properties in them." And I couldn't just go down to Leeds all the time when they were swapping off tenants. You know, you've got like I had properties in Plymouth. You know, it's about a 7-hour drive. So, you know, that's the way it is. So you have agencies that look after it. So the agencies just set their rules, and if they've got a CCJ, I can't do it. It's too dodgy. So you're not getting even on the books. And that's when you go in and you try and apply, find out where I've got a CCJ for what, and it can be sometimes years before. And if you've moved on and you've gone in, you know, you don't realize until you come up to do something like apply for a new, even a new job. Sometimes it'll state if there's a CCG on the record, you know, you can't have that job. Happened to a friend of mine in Bristol actually, and you know, he had a great interview. He'd been injured for a while, so he hadn't worked for quite some time. He was like, got himself all excited, said, yeah, great, you are the ideal candidate, we'll sort it out. And then he got like a phone call when actually you've got a CCJ. That was a parking ticket actually as well. So, you know, you're gonna have to clear that up, get rid of that CCJ, or you can't start, you know.
Insane.
So it does affect a lot of things that people don't even think about.
So, like you were talking about your properties, and we've discussed like our own kind of journeys, and like I was in the High Court in Ireland with 3 properties, like a load of stuff in Poland, but this stuff in Ireland, it was in the High Court, and this is over 10 years, about 10 years ago. And I was like checking recently. It's like they never made a claim for it. It's there because everything was fraudulent, like every single thing they'd done. And I didn't appeal because it would have opened it up. So it was like 68,000 or something like that euro. And it could have been 500,000 because I won on the costs, which has a barrister, as you know, and I was 8 times in the High Court. So like plus interest and all that penalties. So it would have been that plus the new cost. So you're talking 68 versus 500,000. So I was like, I saw the corruption with all the every time I was there. I said 100% everything is corrupt there. So why go into? And I was checking recently. I said, like, what's the time frame for this? Because it's I I just want to kind of not see something over your shoulder, like just because you have to kind of defend yourself every day. And what I said is up to 12 years, but after 6 years, they have to actually go back to court. So they've gone past that stage, so now they'll have to go back to court. And when I started investigating, I started delving and looking for information. They were with the Bank of Ireland. Bank of Ireland were fraudulent with tracker mortgages. They overcharged the mortgages. So my 3 properties were on ECB plus the tracker. And I got no information when when they were taken to court. They were supposed to write to everybody, advise them of this when my properties were sold, and I got no information where they were auctioned, what they were sold for. Like when I actually went back after a few years, it looks like they went to BlackRock or something like that. That they kind of one was sold, but the other 2 were kind of put into, that's the way they did everything. And when I started researching, it was like, yeah, you were seriously, fraud was serious, and the banks, like, not liable. But the thing is, I can then go, all right, I was definitely screwed. I was probably in cash positive when they were saying, hey, you're in the cash negative. Because, for example, one that I was in for the 8 times, there was a mortgage of 220. So just for those that mightn't have known, the property at one stage was valued at 400,000 euro. And then it went down to 125,000 euro when everything kind of fell apart. Like, how can that be possible?
Yeah.
But I was able to kind of hold on to it for so long. And I had an offer of 200, and I said to them full and final settlement, and they refused it. And then they sold it for less and came after me for the excess. But the reality is that was only 20 grand. They were probably overcharging me interest on that. But the problem is, and the reason I'm saying this is not just because of me, because there's millions of people went through the same shite all over the world. If I go back, I'm going back into the lion's den of lying bastards that cheat. So even though I've got information, hey, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you're basically saying, this is going to open another can of worms. It's going to cost me money to do this. And it's not as if you've got a system that you can trust, which it's a sad case of affairs, because the reality is they should owe me a fortune what they've done. They've probably done the same to yourself and people that you know.
But yeah, 100%. You know, and just like when you're talking about that, though, just like the image coming into my mind, right, when you're talking like that, is the scales of justice. So you see, like the woman standing there, she's holding the scales, and it's like the balance of justice. You think, yeah, I know, but it's not real, though, is it? Because unless you've got a bottomless pit of money to actually try and ask for that justice, you're not going to get it. Because yeah, I mean, you know, I've been in exactly the same position. You know, I lost everything. And I just went, have it then. I can't be bothered. I'm not. Do not take it. Couldn't give a shit. I've had enough. You know, and it's like, just lost all the properties, like all over the country as well as my own home. It's take it. I've gone. I've finished. But like, you know, if you wanted to go and fight that, just like the couple of cases that I've just been, and like on Monday, and this solicitor for the other side, he was being very friendly, you know, and this to the guy, and he said to him, you know, do you not think you want to be considering something about these fees, because the actual legal fees are going up all the time, and they're going to be even more than the interest on the mortgage now. You know, I think, well, that's the thing. If you can't afford to fight these, the banks, or just, there's no there's they don't recognize the fact of the money, do they? It's like they would seem to be spending more than what you actually owe just to fight you. You know, so but to them it's just like they're just printing just fake money anyway, so it doesn't really make any difference. But we can't afford to go into the court. Like I said, it's like they're the parking charges, they're paying £25 per time, right? For your, and it ends up it's nearly 300 quid that you get the CCJ for, right? Even if it was like £100, you know, parking fee for 2 minutes over. But you know, we're having to pay, if we want to actually fight them, 313 or whatever it was, you know, but like close to that anyway, 300 quid, say, or that ballpark figure. So, and that is only to file the claim, by the way. That, you know, when you go in to these places, I was talking before about the CPR 27, when you're talking about the court rules. When you're going into the small claims track, it's supposed to be two of you go in, you argue, he wins, you lose, right? You pay your costs, and you leave, right? If you end up having to owe them money, you owe them money, but there's no costs involved. That's what CPR 27 says. In reality now, and I know a few people around the country, that what they're saying is, yeah, now you owe costs as well. And sometimes it's, no, you can't do that under CPR 27. So, oh yeah, but these are contractual costs. That's a made up term. There's no such thing. So they're trying to change their actual own rules, right? To put costs on. So you're literally going in to try and stand up for yourself. And then because you haven't won the case through some little rule, not because of the law, some little rule in a green book, then it's saying, oh, but plus we're going to put the costs on you of the other guy was like £7,500 costs on top of the debt, you know, that he couldn't afford anyway, which is why he was arguing it. You know, so now it's like 20 odd grand, which you couldn't afford the half of it. It's just like the insanity of it there, you
It's
know.
one thing that, sorry to interject, there's one thing you mentioned there, because sometimes the barrister or solicitor is kind of talking to you, especially if you're representing yourself, as if they're your friend, and they're going, because what I experienced, and you have to be very careful of these slimy bastards, right? The guy was going, I don't know why they're doing this for you, right? You know, it's for 68 grand, they shouldn't have done that. And, you know, trying to be nicey. But then, because I was 8 times there, what happened is, at one case, he just says to the judge, yeah, I've got another case there in another room. And your man just allows it. So I'm from, I don't know, 9 o'clock and waiting till 3 o'clock or something till he's finished and comes back. But if I don't turn up, oh, he's not here, ruled in favour of the banks plus interest plus penalties. The same guy told me, oh, it's not in this room at all, it's up in another place. And I just, in other way, your intuition, I was like, I don't, just, and I went up to the kind of head place, the kind of information, and he was lying so that I wouldn't turn up. So, because you mentioned that they'll pretend that you're, do not ever, ever trust the opposition's solicitor, barrister, whatever they are. They are vermin, pieces of shit. They should be in the sewer. And I'm positive it hasn't just happened to me. That must happen a lot.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, the thing is on the whole process thing, talk about the rules and everything, and they'll use their rules, like their CPR and everything, and yeah, I can't remember now. It was like 3, 4 years ago, but we're in court again. This was like against the council, and on the morning of the case, right? You're supposed to file, it's called serving. You have to serve your evidence upon the court and the opposing party. So you serve, and if you haven't served your evidence, then they can literally kick the case out. They're just what not. So if we were doing it and we've paid our 300 and odd quid or whatever it is to take a case to court, we're taking the council to court or a debt collector to court, wherever it is, and we don't file or don't serve it, our evidence upon them, they'll straight away kick it out and say it wasn't served properly. It's actually just happened. That's literally just happened. What, you didn't serve it. Why didn't you serve it? Well, I didn't realize I had to serve it on them. I thought it was just the court. No, dismissed. Strike out the case. Right? Now, same thing. We're sitting in the court, literally, right? 5 minutes before we're about to go in, their barrister comes up, or not the barrister, the solicitor of the barrister, right? So they had a barrister and a solicitor, came up, and it's like huge pile in documents like this one. Oh, we forgot to send this to you, so we'll just give it to you now. Right?
I
That's
had
them
the
just
exact
before.
same thing. I had that as well. I have to, when I was replying to affidavit, I had a big folder. So I had to make 3 copies, one for me, one for them, and one for them. But when they do it, I had to then go to the court. They give me the documents that I can't take away and take pictures or get somebody to make a copy. It's like, how is this fair? You're dealing with the bank that has unlimited budget versus you trying to survive.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's just like boom, it's like landed like that. And it's like, well, you're supposed to defend this. Well, how? You've just given me it. What am I going to do now? But if it was, like I say, if it was the opposite way around, they would say, no, you didn't serve it, get out. They just did it. They just did it this week to where one of them, and it was like, you forgot to serve it, or you not forgot, they didn't say that. You went, why haven't you served it? And he was like, I didn't think I had to do that. I've done it to the court. No, you should have done it to both to strike it off. And that's it. You've lost your £313 plus they're still going to hassle you like for whatever it is anyway that you were arguing about. And just like that. But, and it's only, and they say, oh, well, they've forgotten to file or they've forgotten to serve. So what we'll do is we'll adjourn it for a fortnight. We'll let them get their stuff together and then they'll serve it on you and then we'll do it again. Right? So hang on. If it was, it's like, we get kicked out immediately. Or if we don't turn up, like you've just said there, boom, straight away, that's it. Default judgment, you didn't turn up, right? Just like the other week, there was like one of the members was in there and they didn't turn up. Whichever debt collector, they just didn't turn up. And they went, no one's turned up yet. I'll tell you what, he said, the judge, I'm going to go for lunch. I'll come back after that. We'll see if they're in. That's what he said. So that was it. He went away for lunch and it was like, oh, really? Okay. Comes back again. He goes, they're still not here. I tell you what we'll do. He actually called them, right? No, can't find anyone for the solicitors. We're going to have to adjourn it then. We'll 2 weeks time, right? Same thing though. Imagine that the judge going, oh, well, I tell you what, you didn't turn up, but I'm going for my lunch. Don't worry about it. We'll come back after lunch, and and if you've managed to get into the courtroom, we'll crack on with it then, and then you don't turn up and say, well, we'll give you a couple of weeks to get your stuff together. You'd have been struck off straight away. But you didn't turn up, your own fault. If they don't do it, well, we'll have to help them and right. Yeah, okay. Scales of justice, like sitting.
I've seen that in Ireland and Poland that, yeah, they don't even turn up. You're going, I have a case here and there's nobody here turning up. And it's like, yeah, so we'll reschedule it. And you're going, if I don't turn up, yeah, rule in favor of them. It's, yeah, it's bonkers. And nobody realizes it till you're actually in the belly of the beast. Like, nobody thinks it could be like that. And then they think, how has this happened? But the reality is, I mean, I seen it in Poland, UK, seen it in Ireland, in the States. I mean, we've got people all over the world. So this is an international thing orchestrated. It's working exactly as they want against mankind.
Completely. So that, like, just again, a little image just came in my head there. That woman standing with the scales of justice. She actually must be like, on the globe that they say we live on a globe. She's on one side of it, like hanging over like that. So the scales are tipping down to the side. into the favor of the actual courts and the debt collectors and the councils and all the corporations. So that's what's happening. She's on the, we need to, or maybe she's down in Australia and it's all hanging down underneath it. It's like, she's definitely not on our side and balanced with it, proper scales of justice. She's spinning around on this globe. Like, the scales are flying everywhere except in our direction. That's what's happening.
So, like, because I see now, the school group, you've got a different pricing. So I presume it's like people come in and then they get different tiers or something like that. Because, if, for example, all of the stuff that you do, because maybe for those that haven't kind of listened to previous episodes or stuff, with the things that you've done, you're giving all forms that people can use. Like, the information is incredible, but you might just kind of, because I've seen different pricing kind of thing now, so you might explain what way it's done now for those that might be interested in coming into it.
The school program itself, right? It's school.com. I think it's one of the best sort of like platforms I've come across. And it's improving all the time. We were just talking about this before we came on. And on the originally what it was like you could set up a group and you could either have like you could set up like a little hobby group, right? You could say, I like to go talk about football. So you could all go and gather and have a free group, and then everybody that was interested in Newcastle United like could go on and all like have chat and banter and blah blah blah. That's what it was for. Or you could go on an education one, like similar to what we have, and they say, well, okay, it's a group, but you got to go on and it's actually pay for the membership, right? Fine. And then the guy who runs the action, there's two guys who run it, and obviously they are long-term businessmen, internet marketers, and so they keep changing things and it does improve. So I was actually going to go and start a brand new group. Thought, well, how do I do that then? Because I want to have this app. So I created the parking app. I'm like, okay, but I mean, how do I do it? So I'm going to have to, all my members have got it already. But what if there's people there who only wanted the parking app and didn't want to know about how to, become sovereign, as you just said it there, or you didn't want to know anything about like, the debt side or the council tax or the private trust or the equity side. What if you don't want all that? What if you're only interested in parking? So I was like, I'm going to have to start a new group then. So I was just about to start that new group, and then I go on a weekly meeting with school.com. I do it every week and listen to them and, oh, that's good. And they announced, oh, we're going to do tiers. Like, right, what does that mean? So now you can have tiered membership. I thought, oh, well, that's handy. So instead of having a brand new group, right, that's just for, say, the parking app, I can have the lower tier for the parking app. Then the middle tier can be like, the next step up plus this, plus that, plus the next one. Then the top tier can be everything, the trusts, the equity, the debt side, the whole lot, everything, like going into the PMA side, the literally go, and I know the debt negotiation, which is amazing, with, helping people be able to, if they don't want to go to court and fight the debt, then they can, and so that's what the levels were for. So now I've just structured it as designed by school.com so that it goes in if you want this level, and you can go in. The good thing is you go on the link and you say, well, oh, this one gives you this, or I can go and that gives you that bit. So you can literally read it and say, oh, well, no, this one's enough for me. Or it's like, well, I want that middle one. Or, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going for it. So it gives you the choice. So it's really well structured and well designed by them, and I'm just taking advantage of them creating it and improving it. And that's why now, even in the school group, you go onto it, you can use their native video, so you can create videos within school. You can have this like this meeting, we could have it in the school group itself, so you're using all their videos and it saves it inside. You can record it and then have it structured inside of your actual classrooms. They call them, instead of courses, they're called classrooms because the school, even though it's called SKLL, should have went more to school, learn how to spell. But it's set up, it's just getting them better all the time. But that's why the structure's like that now. Instead of me like having to go and create a new group every time I wanted a new concept of it, I've just spread the classrooms out, or the courses out, whatever you want to call it, and then just say, well, look, if you want that bit, pay for that one, go in there. If you want that bit, and then the high bit, it's your choice then. And you can go in, read all about it, see which one picks for yourself, and then make your own choice from there. It's good. I think it's really clever.
I'm the same. I listen to the school news, and I mean, I got into it because of yourself, because you told me before. So I've got two groups now. I've got like the Brain Gym one, which is a free group, but I've got the Podfather one, and like what I love as well is because, for example, before people like I I use software for courses and stuff like that, and then I had to buy plugins, and then there's massive costs. Like, sometimes they're very expensive, and then it doesn't really work. Whereas the affiliate system is brilliant because it pays out directly. You don't have an accounting, like, it's very good for accounting because it simplifies everything. And what I love now, because if you have any Facebook group or anything else, it's like even say Telegram. Unfortunately, I'm on all these different things. Signal for one guy, Telegram for a few others, WhatsApp. WhatsApp isn't too bad, but Telegram, constantly people writing to me. I don't know how they're allowed to do that, but it's like it's just full of spammers. But a school, what they have is they've got it marks it spammer, and you just kind of block the. So they're making sure because you don't like you have to pay to create a course, so it's either $9 or $99. But when you're coming in, you don't have to pay. So sometimes there's free groups, and then of course where there's something free, you get all these people coming in and just writing directly and everything. But they're marking it so it's spam. So then straight away they're just kicking them out and just marking them as spam so they can't do directly. That's worth gold because
That
the amount of time that you waste with idiots that are just
Yeah.
trying, and they can ruin your group. So that was why I never had mine free, because I was thinking of having mine free with just maybe a few videos and then have the course, like the tiers and everything. But I said, if I do that straight away, you get every promoter. Like I get 200 plus messages a week from the podcasting. They'll come in and they'll ruin the community. So,
Yeah.
but at least they're watching it and they're kicking them to the curb.
Oh, I mean, that is incredible. I think that is like amazing. I've tried it before with free, and it ruins it because you just get people have got no idea of what you're talking about. Even they don't care. They're just literally they're not attacking, but they're just blogging it, and loads of spam coming in, and like, messaging you, and it's bots that are messaging. So the guy sets up a bot, sends out 1,000 messages a day. He doesn't even know what he sent out. It's just the bot doing it for him, and you're the unfortunate one that receives 100 emails every day, and I'm like, what, or messages like that on the different groups and Telegram and Facebook and all of that. I've even seen them advertising the bots. You can get in this, and this costs you such and such, and then and so it sends out all your messages, and you don't have to do anything. But unfortunately, on on the other side, but when you're receiving them all, it's just not worth having. Yeah, it might sound great. Or if you get a free group, everyone can try, and then before they move it, but it's not, right? Because it attracts. We actually did it for a while, and we got a load of grief. People and I'm honestly either like grifters, like debt collectors themselves that are putting the trolls in that work for them and just arguing with everybody, attacking everybody. It's not worth the grief. And I even had them like sending me tons of abusive emails and like threats and all of this. Like, you got to just block them all. So no, it's not worth the grief. It's not worth the hassle. So free is definitely not free. You spend more time dealing with the crap than you do dealing with the group. But that they came up with the spam, like kind of like report or recognition, because I watched it and I thought, oh wow, that's clever. I've never seen one yet. But then a couple of the people,
And I reported one as well. So it came in and I just saw, oh, it marked it. So I just, I didn't even check their profile. I just went, yeah, because
yeah, no, brilliant. So as a couple of the members says, oh, they got worried because I've never seen this before. He's got a spam report. What should I do? I went, oh, it's just a brand new thing that indicating the ones that they've found out that do spam and message, and just block them. Don't worry about it. And so, you spread that around now, and everyone's got it now. So that's it. As soon as they get it, big red flag, brilliant. Got rid of them. So it helps you clean. I mean, it's not just keeping your own group clean, but it's like cleaning your own head as well. You don't have to deal with
because
it.
you're spending so much time. So this is an important one because I'm sure that so many people with whatever business they're getting, because you're really at high level with the AI because you've created the AI and the thing. With me, with the podcast, I get bombarded with messages. So you get you get PR companies come, hey, such a guest. But what I'm finding, like everything, I'd say it's 95% is AI. So, for example, they're writing to the Polish podcast. This guy would be great for talking about insurance. So it's nothing to do with it, or talking about the crypto, a guy that has nothing to do with blockchain technology. And it's time consuming for me going in, checking this, because sometimes it's a pitch and sometimes I go, hey, I charge to go on some shows, and it helps cash flow come in. But you're dealing with all this, and it's 100% this AI. And like, how can we stop that? Because I mean, there's some people saying, okay, give access to the AI, but then AI starts doing things that you don't want it to do. Is there ways to stop that, to filter that with, say, Gmail?
Oh, I really don't know. I mean, I only use AI for certain aspects, although I'm starting to like use more and more apps and create the apps to do what I want to specifically do. But I don't know if anybody is listening and they've been using like ChatGPT for a while, which is probably what most people were using initially. You got to be extremely careful with that, and it has changed quite drastically over the last month or so. Probably, I mean, this is like what, March? Like, I reckon in January 2026 it started changing, and it's getting, I would say, worse and worse. And you have to keep reprogramming it to stop it. I don't know. It's just completely changed. It's as if it's been taken over by the corporation of corporations. And now it's like it gives you a lot of false information, right? So that's
Dangerous.
something you've got to be careful of with anything with AI, and you've got to break it. You've got to break it and destroy it, and then recreate it from scratch. And I've had to redo a lot of the apps that we built and the agents that we built. And then I am moving away now, and it's taken a lot of time to create this other one from scratch, completely different, away from OpenAI, away from ChatGPT, away from other formats that I know are infiltrated. So I was trying to build it, and with the knowledge base that it can't be infiltrated by internet or any search engines, and it's not allowed to look on the internet, because that's when it goes off, and it does it gets tracked no matter what anybody says. And as soon as it goes into the internet, the trace of it gets tracked, and so that you start attacking your own AI and start making it do what they want rather than what you want. But to stop from what you're saying, I wouldn't. No, probably every time that you put up a barrier, they build something to create and climb over that barrier. Like on the messaging or the AI or whatever it is. It's just programs. It's just computer programs. That's all it is. That's keep on trying to tell people. It's like, yeah, I might say AI. It's definitely artificial because I've created it, right? And it's definitely not intelligent. It's only doing what it's been created to do by a mind.
And
So
it
it's got
wastes your time because it'll keep asking you 50 questions to keep you engaged. And then you do nothing because it's after giving you like, oh, do you want me to do these three things? Do you want me to do these three things? And you go, oh, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. So then you've got, 50 pages. Whereas if you just stuck with the original one, you do it. But what happened to me a couple of days ago, and I recorded everything because every podcast that I transferred, Spotify, they cheated. They just wouldn't win the CSV file for all my stats. They just, so I recorded it showing it. So it said the waiting was like 357,000, went down to 68, but the others were like 297 now to 6,000. But what I done is it was the last one. I said, I don't want to lose these downloads because, when I go to Podbean, it's looking at zero. And if advertisers are coming in, they go, he's got no followers, when it's not the actual case. So I have paid for the Kimi one, and I was giving it all the stuff I uploaded the CSV, and it goes, oh, I can see so many downloads. I can see all the files. Yeah, it's okay to transfer the RSS feed. Everything is organized. We'll then give you the file that you can use in the thing. And the file was like, okay, guys, nothing's happening there. Oh, yeah, we can't download that. Oh, we can't do this. We can't. I was about 3 hours in the end. I was like, hey, you told me you could do it. Oh, sorry, we made a mistake. I lost all my numbers. It's like, so that has happened so many times that it lies. And unfortunately, society is like, they're holding up the phone. Look what ChatGPT said. It's gospel, you know? And it's just going out like you said. So that's what I love about your system. You're giving it the books and go, hey, just this information. Don't bother going out there, generating lies. So I'm hoping that you're going to have versions on the on the mortgages as well, because that will be something. I don't know how you do that, because even if you look at the contracts, like, I mean, you probably saw that. Why? How is it allowed to have 2mm writing in a contract so you don't read it? You know,
Mhm.
it's like you can't read it. If you want to, you need a magnifying glass to read that text, and it's like 10 pages, and people are just happy to get the mortgage. I mean, I've done it myself. You just go, oh, hey, they're giving me the money. Whoopie-doo.
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's where you're getting caught by the ghoulie bags then, because they go, oh, yeah, on page 12, yeah, lines 63. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you that I have seen some absolute horrendous terms and conditions that have been created in mortgage contracts or personal guarantee contracts, and and people just sign because they want that deal, they want that money, they want that house, and and they don't realize how bad things are going to be for them. Um, it's a horrendous thing, but I don't know. There's a lot of it as well, like I do believe that people would still sign it if they could read it, and if it was this big, never mind small. I've seen them do it. But the size of the writing is the whole thing, is part of what we argue against on the car parking side. On the private parking, they say you're contracted because you've read the terms and conditions. But uh, you know, I actually did a video, and whatever reason, my phone didn't work. So I was spending an hour, and the security were chasing me around. And I was filming it, saying, "Look at this sign," and the sign says, "Past this point, you are now agreed terms and conditions. You're in a contract." It said it on the sign. So I was filming the sign, and it says, "If you want to see the terms and conditions, you have to go inside and read a sign." Well, so you're contracted, but now you've got to see the terms and conditions. Well, that's called new terms and conditions if they've already said you're contracted. So that makes it null and void from the beginning anyway. So I was explaining this, and I got video, and it didn't work. The video didn't go on. It was really, really weird. But I was probably getting like beams attacking me to stop my video from working, and the security were all spying on me trying to come in. But like on the terms and conditions inside where you park, if you did get out, you would have to literally be up to the sign and read the tiny print. But on the Road Traffic Act itself, right? So if you're driving, it says there you must have contracted because you drove past the sign. If you read it while you're driving, you've breached the Road Traffic Act already, and that's an offence, right? So you cannot commit an offence to engage in a contract. To use an offence, right, to be part of a contract, nulls and voids the contract anyway. So that's the argument we put together. And it's like, and then if they say, no, no, but you can stop and then read. Well, under the case law of Thornton versus Shuley and Parkin Limited, as soon as they say you've contracted, and then you have to read the new terms and conditions, that means that now the original contract is void because it's new. And that's case law. It's like proven in the High Court. So that itself makes the contract null and void. So that's when you're just talking about the size of the print. But if you did park your car, which is what a lot of you know, the bots even on the comment sections on the videos come up and say, oh, they give you 10 minutes to go out and read. You just park your car and get out, and it's pointless ever arguing back with them because it's not real. They're not real, so just like block and move on. But in reality, if you block, you can't read it. It's so small. I was trying to like read it the other day when that's what I was doing the video and showing them how small it was, and none of the video. I'm gonna have to go out and do it again. People are gonna think I'm very weird. He's walking around videoing everybody's sign.
Fishing, you're kind of reading the letters.
It's tiny, and when you get down to it, then and it tells you at the very bottom in the tiniest writing that they can hold the keeper liable if they can't identify the driver, and that's not true the way that they write it, because they can only do that right under Schedule 4 of the Protection of Freedoms Act 2012 if they follow all of the rules, and the rules, especially what they call by Lord Denning again, right? I have his book right over there, Lord Denning, with all of his best case laws. They call it right the red hand rule. If they've got something that's in terms and conditions that they class as onerous, right? In other words, bad for you, he says it should be like a red finger pointing at it. That's what he said. so they have to make it bigger, and bolder. So what they do is when they say, if you're over the hour free, the 2 hours free, whatever it is, it's £100 charge. And it's slightly bigger than what the other one are, but it's not red. And he said red hand rule, and it's got a point at it like that. And it's not that. So again, you can argue, there's a lot of different things you can argue under that. But as well, you got to make sure, and this is where we got rid of loads of tickets for people when I told them that it was not, they were getting tickets on non-relevant land. Right. And that's what they never even heard of that. What's the difference? What's relevant and non-relevant? What does that mean? You got to find out which is which. And if they're giving you tickets on non-relevant land, then, you've got to find out what all of the rules are for non-relevant land and use them against them. And it makes it very, very, very handy for you. Because I was in Scotland just before Christmas, and I was going through, again, filming on the signs. The signs are the same. And all of Scotland is non-relevant land. None of Schedule 4 of that Freedom of Protections Act works in Scotland. None of it. So you can easily get rid of any parking tickets, private parking tickets in Scotland, if you know the actual notices to use or the rules to use. So, but they still send them out all the time. And the vast thing is, like, people, they just ignore them, or they could get, like, they pay them out of panic, and you really just need to find out what are the rules and how can I use it to shut them up about the relevant and non-relevant land, especially, as I said, the whole of Scotland is all non-relevant land. So that means Schedule 4, the keeper liability, you can't even use it if you haven't done it correctly.
So finally, you have your event. I think, is it the May the 2nd to the 4th? So in the biscuit room again, and I'm seeing like in the group the different pictures of the different people that are going to be at the events. You might just kind of briefly say who's going to be there, what they're going to cover, and then how they can get tickets as well.
Yeah, this well, it's the Checkmate the Matrix Live, which is on the 2nd, which is the Saturday through to the Monday. So it's the full 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 2nd to the 4th of May, 2026.
That's a bank holiday weekend, I assume, yeah?
It is the bank holiday weekend. So you can make a great weekend of it, in a fantastic city. I mean, it's a beautiful place. It's right next to the quayside, right along the River Tyne, in the biscuit room of the biscuit factory, which is a fantastic venue for anything. But the speakers that we've got are going to be speaking this week anyway. I can't remember what day it is now. But to Harry Rhodes, he's going to be presenting there with all of his medical information on the healing powers of the water and structured water and the products and the research that he's been doing. Really fantastic information that you can get from him. You should ski to him. You should get him on one of the shows. He's just so full of brilliant information. So he's going to be on presenting. We'll also have a venue that's run by Michelle Grogan. She's going to be at the event for her, again, on health side, but it's for the oxygen chambers, the hyperbaric oxygen chambers. So she'll be explaining the health side of how to actually use these oxygen chambers, because the whole event is about you taking control of your own affairs. The whole event is about you living your life the way you're supposed to live it, rather than allowing a corporation to run it for you. So we're talking about blockchain finance, as you said there before you mentioned it. So we've got 2 Americans that are going to be coming streaming live over from the US rather than flying over. So they're going to be going over on the actual blockchain technology, on how you actually can use the crypto strategies to actually create an income as well. We'll also have blockchain technology for private banking. So it's actually is using normal currency, not cryptocurrency, but it is a bank account, how you can use it for a business bank account. And the whole idea of why you would do that is that you are still the custodian of your own finances inside. It's on the blockchain. What that means is if there was an argument between you and a creditor or you and HMRC or anything, they can't put an attachment or an arrestment of earnings or anything like that.
Empty your account, which they've done to me on lots of occasions.
Yeah, exactly. They can't freeze the bank account if they're arguing because it's on the blockchain and you are the custodian of the finances. But also we're going to have James Marling. He's going to be as presenter, and he's talking about land, getting land, obtaining land, maintaining land, all about growing your own food, which is what I've been doing a lot of, is, working in the gardens. And, it's all about showing people how to actually do it rather than, just saying, well, you should go and do this. We're actually doing it and filming it and videoing it and then showing people, the how to actually progress with that type of projects, and obviously looking at all the other stuff, the GDPR stuff. We're going to have a guy with the Willoughby Genius app. He's going to show it's against GDPR, and I'm going to be going over the GDPR. We've got another GDPR specialist, Dan, coming in, who actually showed everybody how to use the GDPR for the supermarkets and the shopping centers. Got videos of him going through and getting compensation just for the CCTV. Doesn't have to be facial recognition, right? How to actually hold them to account for any image that they're taking of you. All again proven on the videos that we actually show. It's covering financial privacy. There's like how to go on the internet, like private internet, and like that's Jono from Privatech. So there's like de-Google devices like phones and laptops and PCs where they can't trace you, they can't spy on you. So it's all about privacy online, privacy on your own devices. Everything to do with digital ID, how to protect yourself from digital ID, how to protect yourself from facial recognition, how to make your standing in using GDPR, as well as equity and the human rights. So all of that is just like a huge, big pile of information that cost over 3 days, but also as well presenting on how you can create your own, let's call it a sovereign enterprise. So what I mean by a sovereign enterprise is where you can actually create your own, well, let's just say it's a business, all right, if you want to call it that, but an enterprise where you're going to have your own income, we'll call it, for want of a better word. So like, donations, if you want to call it that, or whatever it is, your term will make you comfortable, where you're not having to rely on a job or a boss that can sack you, just for whatever reason. Some of our people that we know that were like doing a business, it was doing great. It was like on raw dog food. Next thing you know, everyone's struggling in retail, and the fact they were going to let all the staff go. Not their fault, right? But like, unfortunately for the people that were there, they were relying on a job, which I call a job, JOB, just over broke, and you're always just like one paycheck away from like a disaster if that dries up. So we're showing people how to do multiple streams of this income so that they can actually be more reliant on them, which to me is like how you can actually be sovereign. If you want to be in charge of yourself, that's being sovereign. So why allow someone else to be in charge of you buying your food if you need food for you and your family? Well,
I just on the income, like you said, because I totally agree. You need to have about 10. In your training, you do calls on affiliates. But if you look at just my one, like the system that I had for the Podbean, they just sent an email, it's turned off. So like, and that's a couple of grand a month, just turned off like that. And so you can't, unfortunately, in the day and age, because whether you've something that's connected with oil or whatever, it's no longer viable, and you could be making a profit to making a loss, so you have to throw in the towel on whatever business it is. So you have to have about 10 things kind of earning it. So you do brilliant affiliate training, because a lot of the things you can actually do very well by having an affiliate system. Same with the school, there's an affiliate system like that. I'm actually an affiliate for you on the thing, so we've the link in the show notes that's from you, and you teach people how to actually earn a decent income from affiliates.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, it's just showing them, and that's what we're going to be doing. Part of that is going to be on the event as well, like teaching them how they can actually use all of these systems. And the good thing about being an affiliate, the ones that we have, is that it's a recurring income as well. So, like, and there's nothing wrong with having affiliates. I mean, I know like some of my friends have got courses that are like, $2, $3, $4,000. It's always dollars. So you could be an affiliate for them. So you get like 40% commission from them, but then that's just a once. So then you got to try and find someone else who's got that kind of money to do that. But on ours, where it's just like a small monthly like donation, but it's every single month. So you get someone to join, then you get 50% from our membership, and then right, you get it every single month. So where you're showing people, we know people that have not in our group, but in other them groups, that they've got like 100 people underneath them that they've joined through them, and they're getting 50 or 40 or 50% every single month, as long as them people stay in the group. And obviously they're in the group because that's why they wanted to join and be interested, be it on, or I like knitting, or I like, rugby or tennis, or, it's like, one
Next
of
month,
those.
Peter will be doing a knitting class for us. Be sure to make a scarf so you won't be cold in Newcastle.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're not allowed to wear scarves in Newcastle. You got to come up with only a t-shirt. They're not allowed coats or anything like that. Anyway, it's going to be May, so it'll be warm. Last time we had it in February, and the same thing. You're not allowed to come with a coat on. You got to just be tough like everyone else. All the people going out for a night out in Newcastle, all, doesn't matter if male or female, they're all just basically walking around with like nothing on, freezing. They don't care. But yeah, knit them
Yeah,
scarves.
and just because obviously people can get the tickets to go, but I believe you have it online as well. So if people aren't able to make it, they can actually get an online ticket to watch the whole event.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So, I mean, the link, it's like checkmatethematrix.com. So you can go on there, and then again, it's like, we're nearly finished, nearly sold out of the VIP tickets, or the inner hexagon tickets. So there's a couple left, I think, but then got the normal tickets, or just watch the live stream. So you can actually, and then the thing is with it doesn't matter if you turn up or you just watch or get on the live stream, you'll get the full recording as well. So even if you miss a bit, or you can't, sit and watch an entire day, if you're on the live stream, you can watch a little bit, go away, come back, and then it's going to be there for you like later on anyway, because it'll all be recorded and you'll get the full recording as well. So, it's perfect for people who don't want to travel or can't travel. We've got a few people just simply nowhere they have got the ability to travel, unfortunately. So they get the chance to sit at home in the comfort of their own home, using their own toilet facilities, which and be able to watch it as well.
Well, listen, as always, Peter, thoroughly enjoyed it. I'll make sure I put the links, as well as the school group, all the different links in the show notes. And I look forward to our chat again next week. And for those listening, make sure, write in, because on my websites, there's forms that you can write in. So if you have a question specific, you can do that. And basically, there's the QR code where you have the Sovereign Man podcast and the Awakening, which this one has gone out on, as well as my other stuff. And if you want to have virtual assistants, go to va.forum. So, Peter, once again, thanks very much.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much.